I've spent 3,000 hours studying virality on Threads. And those hours took me from 17 followers back in 2023 and $0 to 14.2K followers and 2K per month. So if you can give me 30 minutes in this class, you'll walk out with 4 brain hacks that you can use on any social media content. This is psychology that applies across all platforms and does not change because the humans don't change. We've got 4 things that we're going to go through. The first one is reward loops. The second one is curiosity gaps. The third one is emotional lighter fluid. And the fourth one is the bandwagon momentum. At minute 10, I'll be exposing a brutal mistake that I think is killing most people's social media growth. So with that being said, buckle up. This one is going to slap, and we're finally getting there. Reactions if you're keen for this class. Awesome. All right. I tried to click my slide, but it wouldn't let me change. But it is now. All right. Guys, thank you for bearing with me. There we go. Cool. So those are our 4 things that we're going to be looking at. And the proof is in the pudding. I've got the stats, the analytics, the screenshots. This is what we're going through. And these are the things that come up time and time again on these posts after my 3,000 hours. So I'm going to be distilling all of that time and effort for you in this class. And with that being said, let's move to whenever I share the screen, it doesn't let me switch slides. And I have no idea why. Okay, we'll do it this way then. So the first one is curiosity gap. It's like the brain's unzipped zipper. What does that actually mean? This comes from Einstein's information gap theory. An unanswered question is like a mental itch, and we feel like we need to scratch it. Otherwise, we're just going to remain itchy and agitated. Why does that matter? Because it's essentially an open loop when we think about our content, and the open loops will double click through and time on post. Click through is you see a hook for a long form post, and then you tap on that or click on that hook, and then you read the rest of it. It's like a YouTube thumbnail, but on Threads. That is the click through rate. And then time on post is, as the name suggests, time on post. Those are metrics that Threads Meta are tracking every time that you go on Threads. And that is contributing to training like your own personalized algorithm. And it's also contributing to how well a post does, because in the first hour, those are some metrics that matter. And if both of those metrics are high, so lots of people are clicking on the hook to read more, as well as lots of people spending a lot of time on the post within the first hour or so, that's telling the algorithm that it's a really good post. It's going to keep a lot of people on the platform, and it will send it out to a bunch of people, which is obviously going to serve their aims, because more attention means more advertisers are going to spend money on the platform, more money in Zuck's pocket. With that being said, we've got the what, we've got the why it matters. Now the how. How do you actually implement a curiosity gap in your own content? And we've got a little acronym here, QTC. So question first is the Q, tension hint is the T, and then close after expand/swipe is the C. So what does that all mean, and how does it relate to Threads? We've got an example on the slide, and what we're seeing here is your content consumption is killing your creativity. It's not how much you consume, it's how. Let me show you the difference. So it's not asking a question, but have a think about what other elements it's incorporating. We've got a tension hint in there because it's like a pain point. Your content consumption is killing your creativity. It's not how much you consume, it's how. Let me show you the difference. Think about the open loop that's creating as you see that on Threads. You feel like you need to click through and read the rest of the post, because otherwise you'll feel like the content you're consuming is killing your creativity and the content you create. That's an example of seeing the curiosity gap on Threads. This post did really well. As we can see, it has, 2.2K likes, 107K views, 61 comments, 196 shares, reposts, and 315 saves. That's the curiosity gap. Now moving into dopamine loops. Dopamine loops. So we've got like a slot machine scroll this idea is referring to. The dopamine, we hear this word thrown around a lot, but I think it's actually helpful to think about how this works on almost a physiological level. I'm not going to go into it in too much depth, but just the basics. Every notification equals a micro casino win in something called the mesolimbic pathway. Now, what does that mean? Basically, the mesolimbic pathway, it's a part of your brain that lights up when you feel pleasure, rewards, or excitement. So you can think about it as a tiny casino in your head, spinning reels every time you get a comment or a message. That's the mesolimbic pathway lighting up like the casino. And this is what makes social media so sticky. So if you're building content, it's this brain circuit that you're talking to. In essence, the mesolimbic pathway, think about it as motivation. It's your brain's reward highway. Dopamine travels here to make you want more. So these small wins that we get on social media, when we're getting the likes, the reposts, and lots of followers, they equal big wins for us. And we want to continue getting them. So that's all we need to know about the mesolimbic pathway, but I think it's helpful to understand what's happening on a physiological level here. Why this matters is you want to design tiny wins to keep people glued to your own content. How can you do that? Another acronym, helps me remember things, hopefully helps you, is SIP. So we've got a short delay, we've got an instant win, and we've got a progress bar. What does that all mean? Many of you would already be doing this, but in case you're not, got some examples as well. So a short delay could be, for example, comment your bio below, and in exactly 3 minutes, I'll reply with one tweak that will double your clicks. So that's a short delay. In a few minutes, I will be giving you something. And what this is doing, you're having like a brief pause before the reward, and then you're increasing anticipation and the dopamine release. So a short wait makes the eventual like interaction that one of your readers is getting more satisfying. Easiest way I can explain this is think about sex. There's such a thing as foreplay for a reason, right? There's a short delay to the main event. How can you incorporate foreplay in your content? That's what this short delay is getting at. Because you want the tease, you want the anticipation, you want the excitement of it. That is what is going to increase the anticipation and the dopamine release at the end. But if you just go straight to the sex, sure, like it can be good, but it's going to be better with the foreplay. That's what the short delay is all about. Then we go into the instant win. So we're going to lead with a promise the reader can apply. We'll be showing you exactly how you can incorporate this at the end with a prompt that I'll be giving you that incorporates the entirety of this class that you can just plug and play into GPT. So that'll be a win if you stick around. It still needs to be some sort of instant gratification to keep the reader engaged. You want to give readers something immediate that they can apply or even screenshot or implement. Here's an example. You could write, copy paste the exact opening line, unpopular opinion, insert niche topic, and then thoughts, basically. You could post a template as a post on Threads. That is an instant win because someone can literally copy and paste that template, plug and play their own niche related content. This is what we do inside of Full Circle. We give 3 viral post templates every day for an entire year because it's an instant win that everyone can get immediate value out of. This is something I use and give to clients because it works. That's an example of the instant win. Then the progress queue. This is the P in SIP. And we've all seen this before. So it's just a visual progress marker that's keeping the readers scrolling longer because they want closure, but like closing the loop. In the example here, we've got a post from Hussein Naji, Hussey, member in Full Circle, and this post did very well. 1.6 million views, 6.3K likes, 379 comments, 855 reposts, and 2.2K saves. And an example of how this is using the progress bar, if we were to look at the entire post, you would have 1 out of 6, then 2 out of 6, and then 3, 4, 5, and 6. You're giving the reader progress as they move through each mini post. And that in and of itself is like satisfying. So this is the dopamine loops. Hopefully you can see how it is important. To keep a broad overview of what we've spoken about so far, these are 2 of the 4 brain hacks. We'll be incorporating all 4 again in that prompt at the end. So don't get too stuck in the weeds here, but it's still helpful to zoom in. Think about how you can incorporate a short delay, an instant win, the progress bar. I'm giving you a shortcut at the end. And with that being said, let's move on to the next one. Again, ignore the numbers, which is high arousal emotion. High arousal states like anger, and this will boost shares by 28% over low arousal content. By the way, everything that I'm talking about here was created through the result of multiple deep research with scientifically backed sources to prove everything. So 28% came from an actual research paper that was published. An easy way to understand the high arousal is just think all of the like slang words that indicate some sort of emotion online. So OMG, LOL, WTF, FFS, all of those acronyms or slang words, if you actually define them, they always represent a kind of emotion. And the task of your content is to generate one or multiple of those emotions. So ask yourself, is this post generating an OMG moment, wow moment, ew moment, or a what the fuck moment, or a combination? And that's what's going to make it effective, because emotion is always going to be more compelling than logic. And sometimes that hurts me because I tend to be a bit more of a logical person. Think about all of your biggest memories in life. They have some sort of emotion tied with them. And that's why you can remember them. It's like they're ingrained on your brain. And when you think about it, fundamentally what we're doing on Threads, we're positioning ourselves and our brand. And if we can occupy some mental real estate in the minds of the people that we want to help on Threads, then we're building a great brand. We do that through the use of emotion. That's the what, that's the why it matters. Now, example, shout out Yaz, who is literally in the other room from me as I am recording this. This is a viral post that Yaz posted about a month ago, and we can see it did really well. 113K views, 2.2K likes, 173 comments, 257 reposts, 58 shares. The acronym that we can use to understand the high arousal emotion, like brain hack, is ease. Elevate is the E, anger is the A or villain, S is surprise, and then E is empathy. So if we look at Yaz's example, the hook is, I left corporate at 21. Here are 21 controversial truths about Gen Z workers that'll piss you off. Number 1, we're not lazy. We're allergic to bullshit jobs that don't align with our values. And then a little arrow pointing down. If I was to dissect this hook and what elements it's using, I would say anger or villain, because through the use of the words that'll piss you off, it's got that aggressive tone almost. And then we've also got E for empathy story, because Yaz is using the first person, the vertical pronoun. I left corporate at 21. So there's an element of storytelling here. This is my own experience, which is, by the way, the easiest way to generate credibility and authority on Threads. Just talk about stories that you've experienced, because no one can take away your stories. They're always going to be credible. So, yeah. And then a what the fuck moment from Gen Z. Yeah, exactly. But we've also got a surprise flip as well. I left corporate at 21. It's not often you hear that. It's more common to hear like I left corporate at 31 or 41, but 21, it's like most people are just getting into corporate. But this is saying, wait, Yaz has left corporate. literally like just as you started, I'm curious about this. So that is the high arousal emotion. And that is the third of 4 brain hacks. Last one, it is social proof and FOMO, bandwagon boosters. Think about it that way. The what is very simple. We copy the herd, and this is just the bandwagon effect. This runs deep in the way we've evolved because of a herd mentality and how we needed to stick together in tribes to be safe from everything that could kill us when we're in the hunter-gatherer phases of evolution. And that still is around today, but it's on social media. So why does this matter? Speaking more tactically now, every comment that we get on a Threads post, and this is very specific to Threads and more important on Threads than any other social media platform, is that early comments, avalanche is a nice way to think about it, they multiply reach dramatically. That being said, just because the post doesn't blow up in the first hour, a post can still do really well if it hasn't done that well in the first hour. And I've experienced this multiple times where it'll actually just pick up the next day for some reason. So don't be disheartened if it's like not doing that well in the first hour. But if you can maximize how well it does in that first hour, then this is going to help a lot. Why? That will relate to the next part, which is how do you actually get the social proof within that first hour to tell the algorithm that this is a really good post and that I should distribute it out to more people on the platform. Another acronym, one of the last ones, if not the last. So first one is catapult friends comments. The second one is opinion prompt. I'll go into some specific examples about each one. Third one is drift back micro replies. And then fourth one is evidence. What does that all mean? I just wanted to create a fancy acronym that made sense, but the examples will clarify. So the C, catapult comments. As I said, this is just referring to the fact that early comments signal popularity, triggering the bandwagon effect. If someone sees lots of comments on a post or lots of engagement, anyone else is going to be more likely to go and read that post because it's already been validated. An example could be, you post the following: just dropped my 3-step framework for viral hooks. Someone tag someone, what are your thoughts? If you know that someone is going to be online and you tag them in a post or beneath the post, maybe as a comment beneath your post, and those 2 people come and comment, you see how this is actually getting more people to generate one of those early comment avalanches. That's the C for the comments. The O is opinion, where you ask a question. So you could have a post that is my hottest take yet. AI will replace 80% of copywriters by 2027. Agree or disagree? A hot take is more likely to generate more comments. Some people will disagree, others will agree, and that's how we get that avalanche going as well. Drift back replies, the D of the code acronym. This is just like continuing the conversation, which if you look at what Threads is all about, the tagline is literally say more. If I was to put Threads growth in 2 words, it would be the tagline, say more. Don't just say thanks when someone says something good about your post. Ask a follow-up question. So someone might say, this was an awesome post, Lennox, you're such a nerd. I can't believe you go into all this stuff. And then I might say, yeah, I know, I'm a nerd, but have you tried using any of this stuff yet? Like maybe some of the curiosity gaps, or what stood out to you the most? Sam, follow up and say more, continue the conversation, or drift back replies. Final element, evidence or screenshots. Notice how at the start of this, I had my screenshots here. So if you're watching the recording of this on YouTube, you would see this, and there's an element of you thinking, okay, so the numbers that he spoke about when he introduced this video were not made up. And yeah, I know ChatGPT can generate these now, but you get the idea. Screenshots are still a pretty good way to establish proof, even in the age of AI. It's going to make people take what you're about to say more seriously. Simple as that. So that is the evidence part. The example is from Hatham. He's one of the other teachers inside of Full Circle with me. I consider him like Threads God. He does so well. And as we can see, It got 219K views, 3.4K likes, 510 reposts. And the hook is, I'm 26. If you're in your 20s, read this from a psychologist. Your communication skills are more important than your university degree. This got a lot of reposts and it got 400 in the first day. So it wasn't the comments here that actually made it just go crazy. It was the reposts. And really, just because of this statement, your communication skills are more important than your university degree. The takeaway here is that comments are king, but if your post is highly agreeable, as this one was, that's another really great way to generate that kind of cascade of, well, telling the algorithm that this is a good post, I should put it out to more people. This is another post from Andrew Sponsler, who was one of the example posts earlier. It got 456K views and it was posted about a month ago. The hook of the post is, have you noticed how a year feels shorter now than when you were 10? This isn't just nostalgia, it's neuroscience. And understanding why might just change how you live. Metrics, 9.3K likes, 166 comments, 803 reposts, and 1.2K shares. It's a lot of shares. Question for you is, which of the three elements on the screen, curiosity gap, emotional trigger, social proof, do you think is most powerful? Put number 1 in the chat if you think curiosity gap, number 2 if you think emotional trigger, and number 3 if you think social proof. The curiosity gap in this hook is, have you noticed how a year feels shorter now than when you were 10? The emotional trigger is, this isn't just nostalgia, it's neuroscience. The social proof is, if you look at the metrics here, you don't really need to read the post. Imagine if I had put this screenshot on the slide and I cut off all of the engagement metrics and you didn't know how well it performed. Most of you probably would not have thought it did this well. But when you see the metrics there, you're like, oh, wow. So Julius thinks social proof. Anyone else? Dwight, curiosity gap? 11. Okay. Curiosity gap, okay. Emotional trigger. There's no right or wrong answer here. Personally, just subjectively, it's not some universal truth. I would say social proof because I'm more inclined to take it more seriously. And that's why it ended up on this live viral teardown. But it's all there. If you're seeing it on the feed, there's no right or wrong because it's a subjective question. But thought it would just be interesting to get those cogs turning. All right. So as promised at the beginning of this class, the viral thread blueprint. So what have we got here? This is really going to condense and summarize everything we've just spoken about into one framework. It's also going to give you a prompt that you can just go and copy and paste into ChatGPT or ThreadGPT. If you have it, it's a custom GPT I built. Everyone in Full Circle gets it. And it's implementing the psychology of virality, everything that we've just spoken about. So I'll get to that. If you have a long form post that you want to know why it didn't do that well or want a free hook upgrade, put it in the chat now and I'll demonstrate using the prompt that I'm about to give you. While you're putting a post in the chat, I'll walk through what this stuff means. You want to run through this hook framework. The hook of a long form post is the top post. The hook of a short form post is just the first sentence. This is most effective for long form posts. So with that being said, this is the framework: proof, pain, promise, plan. Now, you might be thinking, wait, Lennox, we've just spoken about these 4 brain hacks and now you're talking about proof, pain, promise, plan. What is this all about? No. Each of the P's relates to one of the brain hacks. Proof is social proof. Pain is emotion. Promise is dopamine. And then plan is curiosity loop. That being said, when we're looking at proof, in my experience, the posts that perform the best consistently on threads start with a proof statement. I studied law. I am a sleep doctor. I have a PhD. Those are the traditional proof statements that will do very well. But if you haven't got some fancy degree, you can create your own proof by doing lots of reps. Notice how I said I spent 3,000 hours studying virality. There's no degree behind that, but most people would hear that and think, I'm going to take him somewhat seriously, probably more so than if I had not said anything like that. Proof is in reps, in numbers, in degrees, things like that. This is the bandwagon effect, like we spoke about for social proof. One example of a proof hook could be 100 plus creators used this hook yesterday. That's engineering the bandwagon effect, and it's borrowing proof. It's not directly saying this is mine, it could be, but it's saying that this is really good. Lots of other people have used this, so I probably should too. Then pain, as I noted, this is the emotion. We've already spoken at length about why emotion is important, much more important than logic. And this is going to help you create some like mental real estate in the minds of your reader. So the pain aspect is, how can you press on some sort of real frustration or desire that your readers have? Because fundamentally, if anyone watched the Painkillers documentary or the miniseries on Netflix with Matthew Broderick, there's a really cool quote from that, and it's fundamentally all of humanity's existence comes down to pain and pleasure. Walk away from pain, move towards pleasure. That's what we're doing in our threads posts. Here's the pain point that you may or may not be explicitly aware of. And now here is the promise to solve that pain. Away from pain towards pleasure, or promise in this case. That gets the pain aspect and then the promise aspect. And then finally, plan. This is why a lot of people's long form posts don't do well. Because when you're looking at the feed, and let me show you what I'm referring to here. On threads, is that going to show? No. Okay. So I'll go onto the feed and I'll try and find some sort of long form post. Shout out, Brandon. And probably the one time I want to find a long form post probably won't. Oh, here we go. Cool. So daily prompter. If you're not learning ChatGPT, you're falling behind. Give me 2 minutes and I'll teach you 10 super powerful prompts to master AI. Here's why the plan element of proof, pain, promise, plan matters. Imagine if this post from Daily Prompter didn't have this sentence. You would just see it on the feed and read, if you're not learning ChatGPT, you're falling behind. And that's it. What reason does someone have to go and click on the post and read the rest of it? That's why the plan statement or the curiosity, the intrigue is so important. It forces people, if it's done well, to tap on the post or click on it and read the rest of it. If you don't do this well, this is why your long form posts aren't getting read on threads, because you're not telling people that there's actually content beneath the hook. If I look on my own feed, I can see the second post. But if you saw my post on the For You feed, you would just see the top one. And that's why it's easy to forget that you need to have a plan statement to just explicitly tell people, keep reading. There's valuable shit beneath it. Just keep reading. Tap on this thing. So that is the proof, pain, promise plan. Now, as promised, I will be putting a Notion link that has all the information that we've discussed today, including the prompt, in the chat. And if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the description. And I'll just demonstrate what this actually is first. So hopefully someone's put a long form post in the chat. Working on a thread. Sam, thank you very much. I'll answer questions in a moment as well. If you've got them, chuck them in the chat. So here is Sam's post. Let me show you which prompt I have up. And you don't need to take screenshots. Again, I'll put it in the chat in a moment. There we go. So it's called Hook Writer Prompt for ChatGPT. Copy paste ready. You are Hook Forge, personal AI copy chief, trained learning state to rewrite threads hooks into scroll stopping bangers, optimized specifically for long form posts using proof, pain, promise, plan, etc. And then it gives examples, and then it gives a format of the output that would be good. It has rules to follow. It has input format, copy and paste that exactly, and then example input, and then example output, and how to use this prompt. Copy paste this prompt into ChatGPT exactly as it appears above. Swap in your original hook and context for each new hook you want upgraded. let Hook Forge rewrite your thread intro into a viral ready hook using Linux's proven proof pain promise plan framework. So I'll go and do just that. Okay. Then I'll get the little floating bar of ChatGPT up. If you have Thread GPT, it will be better. Everyone in full circle gets Thread GPT, the custom Thread GPT that I made. And then I'm going to put the whole prompt in there. And then I'm going to copy and paste the hook and make sure that I'm actually following the recommended output as well, or the input rather. So we need original hook, that's that. And then context. Sam, if you wouldn't mind speaking up and letting me know what some context could be, and this is just briefly explain the main topic or core insight of this post, including any relevant personal statistic or some kind of number. And I'll just type that up here.
Yeah, it's basically about personal brands and how to get most out of your basically threads. So like finding your micro niche.
And how many followers have you gained on Threads across the various accounts you've had?
So I got all 4 accounts, but 3 of them has 20K plus followers. So it's altogether more 60K plus followers in 3 accounts.
Most brands think they need to scream to stick. They blast their logo, spam your feed, and vanish 5 minutes later. Here's how to tattoo your brand on people's minds without ever raising the volume. Here's the rewrite. Built 60K followers whispering, not shouting, sick of screaming into the void with zero traction. Here's how to tattoo your brand on people's minds without yelling once. Tap in. That's one option. The other one, I've scaled 4 Threads accounts past 60K by not doing what most brands do. Still blasting your logo and praying it sticks. Learn how quiet brands build loud legacies. Keep scrolling. This will change how you post forever. And then option C, 60K followers. If your brand still vanishes 5 minutes after posting, you're doing it wrong. This is how to create a brand people remember even after you log off. Bookmark and test. I personally, so this is what I would do if this was my own post. I would be taking the best part of each version that I like the most into one ultimate version. So I like that first sentence that I highlighted there. Then I like the second sentence in version A.
I like the third one.
Yeah, third one's the clearest. The second one is clever because you've got some alliteration, loud legacies, but it's too clever and not clear enough. And then how to tattoo your brand onto people's minds without yelling. It's good imagery. Again, we want to be clear though. So probably the third one is best. This is how you create a brand people remember even after you log off. And then I like that one there. Cool. This is the final version. Compare before and after. I'm just doing this to illustrate to you what the difference is after you use the prompt. Yeah, it's trained to be pretty brutal. The original hook was most brands think they need to scream to stick. They blast their logo, spam your feed, and vanish 5 minutes later. Here's how to tattoo your brand on people's minds without ever raising the volume. Versus this one. I've scaled 4 Threads accounts past 60K by not doing what most brands do. Sick of screaming into the void with zero traction. This is how to create a brand people remember even after you log off. Keep scrolling. This will change how you post forever. So that's just like the first rewrite. I would try to make that a bit punchier, a bit shorter, but I think it's fair to say that most people would be inclined to click through and read after seeing the second hook, like this rewritten one, rather than the original. And that's just with like a few minutes tweak. And that couple minute tweak with the prompt will dramatically improve your long form post because of everything we've just discussed in this class. So that being said, I'll put the link to the Notion page in the chat so you can grab everything that we've discussed today. Get to questions in a moment. And I'll go back to, where was I?
Oh, yeah. Lenny, could you share that hook on the chat, please?
Oh, yeah, no worries. I got you. There we go. Is that the one? That one. Yep, hook in the chat as well. There you go.
Thank you.
Cool. So dopamine loops, social proof, viral teardown, threads blueprint, little checklist there. Ask yourself, have I signaled proof? Have I touched on a pain point? Have I offered some sort of promise? And have I opened a loop or suggested that there's an outline or made people curious? Make sure you hit all 4 before you post your next long form post. I promise it will elevate everything. This is the framework I use for every hook. The only thing I've recently updated in light of just constantly seeing how well proof uses is I've normally done pain proof promise plan, but I do think proof should come first. There's the prompt. You've already got it in the chat or in the description on YouTube. Finally, to wrap up, remember to use proof, pain, promise, plan. The proof is the social proof element. The pain is the emotion. The promise is the dopamine, and the plan is the curiosity. This is hardwired into our psychology, so it works. If it doesn't work the first time, don't give up. It's like iteration. And if you've posted a few times on threads, you already know that's just how it goes. If your threads feel dead, it's normally the structure if you're not hitting these elements enough. This stuff isn't luck, it's just strategy. It's using those 4 elements. They change everything for me. The biggest hurdle is being self-conscious about being arrogant. I promise the sooner you get over that hurdle, the faster you will grow on threads. I spent way too long being self-conscious about sounding arrogant. And as a result, I didn't flex my proof and I grew slower. Don't make my mistake. With this blueprint, you don't have to hope anymore because it just works. Here's a cool little quote. Mastering threads isn't luck, it's psychology. So before we move into questions, by the way, if you do have any questions, Dwight, I'll come and address yours very briefly. We have recently introduced free trials. What you get is $500 worth of viral post templates. You get 3 of them per day for as long as you're in, but for the first 7 days, you get 21 of them. You get swipe files, you get AI prompts, just like the ones I've given you. You get a personalized growth and monetization roadmap. We hear about what you're doing and give you a roadmap to create a goal for you and action steps to achieve it. We're holding your hand every step of the way. So you don't have to slow down if you're getting overwhelmed. If you loved what we went through today and you want to get more of it, join Full Circle. I'll put the link in the chat. If you're interested, it's a free trial. If it's not the most valuable 7-day free trial you have had, I will just tell you to leave because otherwise I'm not doing my job properly.